I'm gonna show you something beautiful.
Hello, world. This is Chris Abalo's podcast experiment, and I am Chris Abalo. Welcome to the show, episode 40. Been 40 of these already. Crazy. But the math works. So, yeah, Cape 40. Joining me once again, ladies and gentlemen, she's back, Sherry Bass.
Hello.
Hello, Sherry. Thank you for joining me on another what's sure to be another entertainment-centric episode of the show. So, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Because this is fresh in my mind. Have you been to the post office recently?
I try to avoid it as much as possible, but yeah.
In the last year. Let's go with that.
In the last year.
All right. Because I was there, and having spent all in 28 years living in New Jersey and about 5 in California, post offices smell exactly the same.
Right, that stank, dark, old, yeah.
And I figure it's the smell of inefficiency. Because aside from the DMV, also a government-run organization, it's so incredibly slow-moving. And why even have 5 windows if you got 2 people working? I don't understand that.
I don't know. And then you always have that one lady in line with the grandma's cookies, and she can't find her right stamp. So then, that process just takes forever. I don't know. I feel you on that one.
I don't go to the post office much, but and for good reason. But I realized I can't deal with this anymore. This is why I prefer email.
Right.
Can't email packages, but maybe if 3D printers take off, I can, parents can print something for themselves, so I don't need to mail it.
Helps the economy, right?
I guess. But inefficiency doesn't, so they should fix that and clean out that smell because, the post offices smell the same on both coasts. It's pretty frightening.
America.
Yeah. You know what they need in the post office? They need the dude. I don't think I told this story on the show. I'm pretty sure I didn't. There's a 7-Eleven down like a block away from me that I occasionally walk there. And I walked there one afternoon, evening. I got home from work. I was a little tired. So I figured, all right, let me go grab a coffee. Why not? And it was chilly. By chilly, I mean, it's 54. So I thought, let me just grab a coffee and, grab the kind of medium-sized coffee, which is $1.49 or whatever, and bring it up to the counter. And the guy has been at this 7-Eleven since before it was something else, because it's also a gas station. And I forget what it was, but now it's a 7-Eleven. So I've seen this dude since like 2007. Really nice guy and really, I don't say super peppy, but he's always in a good mood. And so I bring the coffee to the counter, like I said, maybe $1.49, $1.39. And he says, for $2, he said, add a donut for $2. And I thought, nah. I was like, I was like, no, thanks. I really shouldn't. One of the best moments. You're kidding me. This is 2 weeks ago, and I still laugh about it. Just the fact that this guy yelled at, in fact, that should be, if I was more egotistical, I would make that a drop here, and I would play it on the soundboard every time someone said something outlandish.
Right.
That was great. You're kidding me. Like, no, I appreciate it. And needless to say, I've been back in that 7-Eleven since, because I don't want the dude selling me more empty calories. At a bargain price, no less. Who could say no? And,
So are you going to get donuts or what?
I don't know. I haven't been back because I'm afraid I'm going to get pressured into buying donuts. Because I get it. Like coffee and donuts, especially for an extra 50 cents, who would say no? What sane person? If he'd caught me on a weaker day, my will was weak, I might have gotten it. But, man.
For shame.
I know. I'm still laughing about that because he seemed like, it was very emphatic. And I was like, all right, I'll just get the donut. I didn't, though. But I've been afraid to go back since because of that. But if that guy was at the post office, shit would get done.
True.
Is what I'm saying. So
enthusiasm.
I think that, yeah. And it's only about a mile and a half down the street. So I think they should. I think they need to go to send some recruiters out and pick this guy up. I can't pronounce his name. I'm not saying that to be insensitive. I legitimately cannot pronounce his name. Otherwise, I'd write him a recommendation, or I'd at least pop in the post office and say, "You need so and so from down the street." And it's funny too. I actually, before I came in here, this sounds like a poorly constructed monologue, but these are just random thoughts because we came in here very quickly. We were kind of rushed getting in here because of a downtown parking situation.
Welcome to LA.
Yeah. Another LA cliche is parking. How much time we spend. How about, wasn't parking crazy? Were you able to park? Oh, where'd you park? Did you park over there? So much of conversation is wasted talking about parking.
I was wondering how all the hipsters get skinny. It's from having to run to get to where you got to go.
I've never seen a hipster run.
Well,
I don't even think they drive, or they take the bus.
I don't even see that. I see them walking everywhere. But hey, yeah. I know I don't walk or run anywhere, so I'm not used to it.
I walk to wind down at night. I'll take a walk around the neighborhood or something because I live in a fairly suburban area. But
I've just burned all the Del Taco.
Did you?
Yeah.
Maybe I should get one of those donuts and then I'll walk a little more.
There you go.
Or I'll run. I'll continue parking, several blocks away because of issues in the neighborhood of the studio, and then I'll be stuck. But anyway, it's funny. I actually kind of had to clear my mental cookies on the way here because I had, in between work and coming to do the show tonight, I had an audition, and I've been getting a lot of character auditions lately. That's not a humble brag thing, so don't people get all sensitive about it. I'm just, point of fact, I've had some character stuff. So I spent a lot of time rehearsing in voices that aren't my own, which is not totally new to me, but it's new that I'm getting these auditions.
Right.
And this one was an old-timey, I make myself laughing a lot tonight, but maybe it's the endorphins from running where my brain's like, you're funny. Kinda. Stop laughing at yourself. But I had to do this voice, which is like an old-timey announcer, like that would narrate a black and white film that be shown in schools.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of like, now I'm trying to think of it and I can't remember that. I don't want to quote the dialogue for the spot. I don't want to violate any kind of confidentiality. I'm trying to think of something generic that would happen. It's like, early morning, get the kids off to school on time, catch the bus, don't play on the railroad tracks, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which, actually, you know who does a really good old-timey voice? And we did 2 bits for the show back during Cape 1.0.
Let me
when
guess.
I was doing the show at home.
Mr. Coronas?
Yes.
How did I know?
John and I need to have an old-timey announcer competition, dueling announcers. We're going to have to do that.
Legit.
He does a really, really good, like, 1920s. We did, Jimmy O. Michigan was the guy's name. It was pretty brilliant. And, so I do 3 different variations on that kind of voice. So I was working up to that for a few minutes just to kind of get it right. Because I don't think I could just sit down and spout out that kind of voice. If I did, then I was born 60 years too late. But I had to work my way up to it. And then I couldn't
old
shake
man,
it.
So you're already halfway there.
I am. Oh, we're going to come back to that because you know what we're going to be talking about in a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Now, since we are a radio broadcast, but we're also essentially a podcast as well. And I think anybody who's doing a podcast to a degree, at least indirectly, let's say, owes a little bit to the great Adam Carolla, who I'm a big fan of. Sherry's a big fan of. And we went on Friday to see his independent film, Road Hard, which was, I mean, I'm kind of predisposed to liking it anyway, and so are you, because we're fans. So chances are we're going to find it funny. We're not going to walk out like, what was that? Especially because it was a comedy. It's not like he was doing, he's not doing a
He's
Hamlet
not like
or
Steve
something.
Carell in Foxcatcher.
It
was meant to be the comedy, and it was a comedy, and it was great.
He's a comedian.
Right. He's a comedian.
Playing a comedian in a movie.
In a movie. That's a comedy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like a complete 180. It's something that's very much in his wheelhouse.
Right. Even though Steve Carell was good in Foxcatcher. But
I haven't seen Foxcatcher. I believe it, though. You couldn't. If you didn't tell me that was Steve Carell, I probably wouldn't have known.
True that.
I'm going to go with he must be great in the movie, but I haven't seen it. It looks like a total downer. But you know what's not a downer is Road Hard, starring Adam Carolla. Right. Written, directed by, and starring Adam Carolla. But you know what? It was, people may have talked about it a while back because it was a crowdfunded movie, which raised about $1.5 million. And I just missed that by like 2 or 3 days. And I was so disappointed because I missed it. Because I like kicking in for for things I'm into. And now that there's the means to it, we're actually involved. And you're essentially pre-ordering something.
Right.
I like that part of it. I do it for bands all the time who do Kickstarter or Pledge Music or Indiegogo or people financing different stuff. Or like, because there's still time to donate, folks. She Kills Monsters on Kickstarter. Help our friend Lauren. They did pass their goal, but they have a stretch goal to make the show as good as possible. So once again, I think there's 2 days left. So I believe it ends Wednesday the 11th or Thursday the 12th. But whenever you're listening to this, go to Kickstarter and kick in some money to She Kills Monsters. If you're in the LA area, you can get tickets to the show as well. So if you were going to buy tickets to it, which you should be, I say so because, as I said last week, with a title like that, come on, that's a good night at the theater. And you can donate and just get tickets by kicking in for the production instead of just buying tickets later.
Kick ass by kicking in.
On Kickstarter.
On Kickstarter.
So it sounds, see, you and I have to come from voiceover. It sounds like we just pitched a tagline for it. Kick ass by kicking in on Kickstarter. She Kills Monsters. Only at the Loft. So anyway, I missed out on donating to, or kicking in money, being part of the crowdfunding effort for Road Hard, which was successfully funded. They were looking for $1 million. And at long last, the movie's done. And it's only playing in, I actually looked everything up today because I'm not a good broadcaster, so I figured, let me find out the details. And it is playing, as of this week anyway, on 22 screens, which it did pretty well. It opened in 35th place at $105,000, which for playing on so few screens is pretty good.
That is. And it's already at 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Is it? Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's the kind of movie where you either, if you don't like him, you're probably not going to like the movie.
Either love it or hate it.
Yeah. And there are people saying, hey, he's using jokes from his podcast or running gags or stories he's told. Well, yeah.
Well, duh.
Everybody does that.
Right.
I mean, look at, we'll end up coming back to the Oscars too. This isn't teasing, folks. I'm not that smart at making up transitions or anything. But look at most of the movies that are up for Oscars are based on true stories. So let's not act as if, hey, wait a minute, that's from real life. Yeah, no shit. That happens all the time. But like I said, we were predisposed to liking it, and it was really funny. I'm an objective fan in that I don't like everything he does. I do like the Adam Carolla show. I like the Adam and Drew show. And there are some times when I don't enjoy it, but I'm a fan of his. And he's a crazy nice guy. I talked about it in, I believe it was Cape 24, which you're going to have to go to chrisabala.com to get as of now, because only the live broadcasts are on iTunes. We might fix that and add those in eventually. But for right now, the live broadcasts are available, which, by the way, subscribe on iTunes. Give the show 5 stars. If you're just tuning in, which is unlikely, you're probably listening to this in the future. But yeah. iTunes, go get it. And go to chrisabala.com if you want to hear the story about when I went to the Patent Troll rally in Redondo Beach, the Redondo Beach blowout episode. I'm pretty sure that was Cape 24. But anyway, he's a really nice guy. Met him a couple of times. Got to chat with him. And I'm happy to support him also as an independent content creator, which I am as well. Case in point, this show. So I loved it. What did you think about the movie? Give us some honest feedback about what you think, because you're probably not you're not going to fangirl out like I pretty much just did.
Well, no, I absolutely did love the film. But like I said, I've been a fan, well, as you said, I've been a fan of Adam Carolla for years, especially when, even when I wasn't supposed to be listening to him on Loveline, so way back. And then, of course, his radio show that was on that CBS broadcast. I can't remember what channel it was, but yeah.
KLSX, I want to say.
Something like that. Yeah.
There's KLOS and KLSX,
if you paid me a
right?
nickel, I still wouldn't remember it. But that being said.
How about for $1,000, would you remember?
Damn, no.
Don't make me get in a hosting voice now.
No.
But I just gave you the answer.
I thought it was heartwarming. Like, it was coming from a comedian's perspective. Like, we're always wanting comedians to make us laugh, but we don't think about the repercussions of what they go through, the touring and the lifestyle and just...
Totally.
Yeah. So I thought it was amazing that he did that. And just, oh my gosh, the people in the cast, there have been a lot of funny people like Dave Allen Greer.
Oh, yeah.
And Jay Moore. So Larry Miller.
Yeah. Who's great in everything.
Baby doll. So it was amazing to me.
It was. I absolutely loved it. And expecting some of the stories that have popped up on the show were going to be a part of the movie. Mm-hmm. I still totally enjoyed it. And I was a fan of his first movie from, I guess, 2007.
Oh, the one with the sports.
The Hammer.
Yeah,
the boxing movie.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I just bought the DVD because I couldn't find it anywhere. You can't watch it on cable or anything.
Right.
So that's one I straight up bought on DVD, which I liked. I liked Road Hard even better. I thought it was really funny. Like you said, it was heartwarming because it has a story. It's not just sometimes you'll see comedians or comedic performers or let's say personalities, because I wouldn't regard him as just a comedian.
Well, for people who don't know the movie, what's your description of it? So they can know what we're talking about.
A man rediscovers his love of stand-up comedy. No, that's not true at all. That was an incorrect description.
And he got pissed off.
Yeah, he yacked about on the show. He did a few minutes about that. No, it's a guy whose career has probably passed its peak, is going out on the road because it's what he knows how to do. He knows how to make people laugh. He's good at it. And people still come out to see him. And he's not necessarily happy with having to go back out on the road, but he does it partly because of force of habit. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't have a lot to fall back on, except for woodworking, which, of course, plays a bit into the story. That's kind of a hobby of his or something he does, I guess you would say, to wind down.
Yeah.
And it's funny, too, because some of the reviews I've read about it, because they started popping up last week, and I was just checking out a lot of the entertainment sites. Some of it were saying, oh, it's celebrity griping, or it's about a bunch of complaints that people can't relate to. And I'm thinking, no matter what your career is, no matter how long it's been, there's a point where, first of all, you're concerned that your better days are behind you, that it's not going anywhere, that you might just be marking time and punching the clock. So I don't think it's any different in that regard. The forum is different because we're talking about performing in stand-up comedy, and you used to work in television and things like that. But overall, I think it's something everyone can relate to in that regard, particularly anyone who's adults. I mean, he's 50. So anyone who's, let's say, around middle age might have the same feelings about their job. Like just on a human level, I think people would relate to it. I did because I'm...
Or anything, just to find yourself again, point blank, period, after something traumatic happened. I mean, he's a divorced guy.
He's got daughters going to college. Pricey.
Yeah.
It just gets worse and worse and worse. But yeah, it's a great movie. And you know what? You can rent it through most cable providers. You can rent it on Amazon. Sherry and I do recommend it. 2 thumbs up or whatever. That's trademarked. We got to do, what should we do? Do we have a ratings thing that we can endorse? Do you have something offhand? Other than saying like we recommend it, is there something emphatic we can do that would...
Like what?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I never said I was any good at this. Well, anyway, we recommend it.
2 boobs, 2 feet, 2 theme, all up. Yeah.
Everything Sherry has 2 of, she's putting up for Adam Carolla's Road Hard.
That's how good it is.
There you go. Tops up? No, inappropriate. Forget it. Although it is actually a little warm in here. I think I am going to... It's strip podcasting. And that's right. The jacket's coming off. Boy, you people are watching the video or in for a treat, aren't you?
Yeah.
Not really.
Oh, yeah.
Not at all. Are they? If you're listening to the audio version, you're really getting ripped off. But thank you anyway. Listen to the audio version.
Well, isn't revealing body parts last week how you got creepy callers anyway in the first place? So
some might
you
say.
Might want...
I didn't. Look, if anyone wants to see my forearms, here you go.
All right.
If we got the wide shot going, hey, look at that. Lucky you people. Aren't you smart for checking out the show on YouTube? Anyway, yeah, you can rent it on Amazon. Everybody has a game console or Blu-ray player or Roku or something that has Amazon on it. Rent the $6.99. Support it because it's independent. It's a comedy.
That's it.
It's an hour and a half. I know. For only $7,
you get a Domino's pizza, the movie, and a Coke from 7-Eleven.
That's right.
50-cent donut.
Well, yeah, with a donut.
And there you go.
You're kidding me.
Right.
It's worth it. It's totally worth it. No, it's a comedy. If you folks like comedies and you're not opposed to, it's not R-rated, as I said, but it's worthy of an R, just for language, nothing too excessive. Okay, there's some boobs
nudity,
in there.
Yeah.
A bit, but the good kind, boobs. So I'm all for it. Maybe you not so much.
Yeah.
But
whatever floats your boat.
I think that floats your motorboat. Well, anyway, I think your favorite part easily, which I've never seen you laugh so hard, and I do. Wow, my Jersey accent just came out again. Do you hear that laugh?
Yeah,
I did it again. I was complaining about this on Friday. We went to see the movie. Certain words, I don't know why. they're getting more aggressive lately. You laughed quite a bit, more than I've ever seen you at one scene where David Alan Grier is doing his Teddy Pendergrass impression.
Oh, man.
And then we listened to let's say, a highlight reel of that from the Adam Carolla show on the drive home. I think you were crying. You were pretty, if not, you were damn
close.
near.
Well, first of all, let me explain.
Please do.
Okay, so for those who listen to R&B, there are always, in no matter what decade, at least two male leading singers that always, as people like to say, make the panties drop. Right now, it happens to be Trey Songz and Chris Brown. Maybe in the 90s, it was R. Kelly and Babyface.
Boys to Men.
Right? Oh, gosh.
Boy, they did.
Whoa.
That was...
Woo. But that being said, in the 70s, it was Barry White and Teddy Pendergrass.
And Marvin Gaye.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, of course. That being said, too, I know you know. I'm helping you out. I'm sidekicking right now. You are.
Go on.
But that being said, it was funny because I was just listening, I was trying to anyway, my record player. And of course, my record player was broken. And my dad, turns out he was playing the Teddy Pendergrass. So I was like, what the hell? Whatever happened at home when I'm not there, I don't even want to know. But Teddy Pendergrass, of course, has this song called Turn Off the Lights. So he always, it's
give us a few bars?
Oh, God.
Do you sing?
Yeah.
We're about to find out.
No. It's like, turn off the lights, light a candle. And then all of a sudden he says, turn them off. It's like he's about to take her down. And that's hot, right? So,
yeah, it is.
Yeah, David Alan Grier.
He nailed it.
But
he went.
But of course, he makes it dirty.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah,
dirty birdie. So,
I should
have me cracking up.
You were seriously cracking up. Like exponentially as he kept going, you were laughing harder and harder. It wasn't like he just knocked you down with the first thing he said.
Hilarious.
It's really, really funny. And I thought about it too, about maybe playing a bit of it, but then I'm kind of co-opting someone else's podcast for mine. I mean, we can put it under like journalism because you can use clips of things if you're like a news outlet or something. I probably could have flown that flag if, the lawyers came and knocking, but I thought I don't want to take up time on my show playing something for someone else's show. It seemed a little hackneyed. But I'll probably, you know what? I'll post a video at chrisabala.com. Look for the post for Cape 40, and I will post the video that I played for Sherry on the way back, which is highlights from the Adam Carolla show from the first time David Alan Grier does Teddy Pendergrass because it's brilliant.
It's amazing.
I had a really, really cinematic or filmic week. Not sure which one would be more appropriate to use. And that's Road Hard was a part of that, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to chat with you about it because we talked quite a bit during dinner before the movie and then a little bit after about movies. And I thought, well, the Oscars just passed. We didn't really talk about it on this show. And there's been so much coverage. But now that the dust has settled, it's been a few weeks. So people aren't as hot on the Oscars anymore.
Now that it's out your brain, let's put it right back in.
Yeah, at last. But what was your, if they're one and the same, I'll let you go first. What do you think was the best movie of 2014? And what was your favorite movie? They don't have to be the same one because they're not the same for me.
Right. Okay.
Do you know offhand or need me to fill up some time first?
Well, The Grand Budapest Hotel, to me, was one of the best movies of 2014. Gone Girl. But my fave, and I'm embarrassed to say it, I mean, it's a musical, though, that's why. But it was The Jersey Boys.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I like Jersey Boys. I know a lot of people couldn't stand it, but I didn't see the musical.
Yeah.
All right. Let's not bring this let's not turn it into a geographic thing.
No, I actually did love that movie. I've watched it too many times to speak. As soon as the DVD came out, I bought it.
You were
right
on
away.
it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, that being said, Vincent Piazza, who's also in one of my favorite TV shows, Boardwalk Empire, plays Tommy DeVito.
Well.
Oh, yeah. Him and what's that other guy's name? John Lloyd Young.
Oh.
Yeah, he plays Frankie Valli. And I had watched the musical like a long time ago. So that being said, I fell in love with that movie. It's heart-wrenching. Oh, well, not heart-wrenching, heartwarming. And I like to sing along to it. So, yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, Grand Budapest, I think, was one of my faves. I saw bits and pieces of Birdman, but I am a Michael Keaton fan. So,
who isn't?
Right. Well,
I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone who's just like, I don't like Michael Keaton.
I was just mad because it was around the time of the Oscars, so everybody had went to see it already, and so they were talking during the whole thing, so I couldn't pay attention. I was like, oh. F this. Well, I'll watch it by myself. So
you haven't seen the whole thing as of now?
I haven't. And another good one was The Judge. Robert Duvall,
Really?
Robert Downey Jr. Yes, I know you don't like downer movies, but you know what? Every once in a while.
It's not bad. Just I'm not into dramas that are 2.5 hours long. And I've seen Tony Stark a lot in movies, and it just really seemed like another ride down Tony Stark lane.
Well, don't hate, okay?
I'm not. I like Robert Downey Jr., but he plays that character very well. But once every other year.
Yeah.
It's internet. You can curse if you want. You don't have to.
Okay, well,
I'm just telling you.
Okay.
You're welcome to.
But then once I start, it's like. But yeah,
Prove it.
The Judge to me was really good.
What was the best? Do you have a best? What you thought was the best movie of all the ones you've seen? Obviously,
Grand Budapest.
Yeah,
out of those.
Okay,
yeah.
That was up for it. That was up for Best Picture.
It was.
So
it was.
I can see that. Mine, I think personally, and I was happy. I tuned in the last few minutes because I was just curious what was going to win. I did see actor, actress, and I guess Best Picture, maybe director was in there. I don't remember now. But I tuned in for the last couple of awards. I missed the In Memoriam, which I did want to see, actually. I haven't caught it.
That was pretty good.
Okay. I mean, once again, always a downer. Yeah, always a total downer. But I didn't know at what point in the show was going to be, and I didn't watch. I was doing other stuff. I wasn't like, screw the Oscars. I just didn't tune in. But I thought Birdman was the best movie of all the movies I saw last year, but my favorite movie was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Let me guess.
What? For all sorts of reasons. That movie was just fun, and I saw it 3 times, and it was great.
Did it help that Karen Gillan was in it?
It did, but see, I didn't know Karen Gillan was Karen Gillan at that point, so it didn't. That didn't hold sway over me. Okay. The fact that she was in it, because I'll tell that story another time about seeing Karen Gillan around town and then not knowing who she was after seeing Guardians of the Galaxy, but before seeing Selfie. I'll tell that story another time. But Birdman, I thought was amazing. And I saw it in the theater I think it was maybe right after it was expanded to more theaters in November. And I was really blown away by it. I thought it looked cool from the trailers, but then a few movie blogs and movie news shows that I watch were raving about it and saying what a great, and people whose opinions I value were saying, this movie's great. You have to go see it. If it's not playing a theater near you, drive to a theater that's like the closest one. Drive an hour and 45 minutes and go see this movie. So I thought, all right, well, I should see this. I didn't have to go far. I just went further into the valley to go see it. So I only had to drive maybe a half hour to see it. But I was blown away, not just by the look, but just by the performances, because the performances were top notch. I thought the story was fascinating, and another kind of career arc that, funnily enough, similar
to Michael Keaton,
to Michael Keaton, and also similar to Road Hard, where it's trying to do what you do, but not sure if it's going to be the best that you do. So another career-oriented, which maybe that's why these movies hit home for me. But it was one that revolved around, him not trying to redeem himself, but do something much more serious. And when that won Best Picture, I was happy. Now, I didn't see, at the time, I hadn't seen any of the other Best Picture nominees. I saw Whiplash this weekend, which was great. Really great. You haven't seen it?
I haven't. You would think being a drummer.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
You were the second person I thought of when I'm watching the movie as far as, I know who should see this. First one was Jimmy. He's listening. And then it was you. But did you have a crazy teacher, music or otherwise, just someone who's way too intense, like super, I don't want to say misplaced passion, but someone who is like just really aggressive with you?
Hell yeah. I've had 3. Well, the main one, it was my English teacher in 10th grade. And it wasn't necessarily that I was a bad writer. It was just that my viewpoints and her viewpoints weren't similar. So I would always get bad grades, not based off upon whether or not I was writing bad, just on the fact that she didn't like what I had to say. So
she wasn't being objective.
Yeah, it was nuts. So I would get singled out a lot in class, discussions, and all kinds of crap. But of course, back to the music there was one. He wasn't my professor. He was a judge because I went to a performing arts school. So every once in a while, they would have these events where people will come and judge you and tell you whether or not you're good or bad or you need to find something else to do. And I remember I had a duet with another classmate of mine when we were both playing saxophone. Sax wasn't my repertoire, even though I played it in marching band and concert band and all that crap. But my friend, she wasn't interested in music. She just played just to play. So she sucked, which made me suck. So, of course, the guy was like, well, what are your career goals? And my friend, she was like, oh, well, I want to be a nursing, nurse pretty much. And the guy was like, oh, okay. And he was like, what do you want to do? Back then, I thought I was going to be a rock star and like Kitty or something. So I was like, oh, I want to be a musician.
Kitty.
That was it back in the day.
Okay.
So that being said, he was like, well, name a drummer. And I remember naming David Silvera, who was a drummer of Korn at the time, and he didn't know who the hell that was. So he was like, no, you need to know some classic drummers. And he was like, maybe you should find something else to do. And I was really bummed. Yeah, I was like, maybe I should quit music, but I ignored it eventually. Mm-hmm. And then, went into audio engineering. So, bitch.
Yeah. And now she can name a ton of drummers.
Right.
So how do you like that now,
right,
Mr. Anonymous Teacher?
Right.
All right, in your face. You definitely have to see Whiplash then. I didn't have any teachers that were crazy. There was one teacher when I was at Musicians Institute, one of the guitar teachers for an elective I took, who was at Cover Your Ears Kids, who was a fucking dick. And all right, let me just say, if kids are listening to this, you're a terrible parent or a babysitter. Anyway, although maybe you're trying to put them to sleep, in which case my hat's off to you. But this guy he was really condescending to almost everybody who performed, to the point where the dean of the guitar school, I'm not going to name him, of course, because that would be a dick move on my part, but he was observed in one, maybe two classes by the dean of the guitar school at the time, and there must have been complaints about him. And I'm not surprised. Frankly, we had somebody fill in, I think, 1 week out of the 10 weeks, because the way the MI structure went for quarters, it was 10 weeks. 11th week was finals. And we had a teacher fill in, who I really liked, actually. I took a class from him later on, but he was great, so much so that a bunch of us at the end of class, before we were dismissed, actually said, one guy started by raising his hand and saying, let me just say, we've learned more in this one class. I can't speak for everybody. We've learned more in this one class than we have in the last few weeks, because you're a great teacher, and we're not used to that.
Right.
And this guy was just super, just condescending. And I don't think anybody was really motivated to get up and play in front of the guy. I mean, there were probably a few guys who were like, oh, I'll show you. But I was always nervous, I guess, to get up and play, because I thought he's not going to like what I do anyway, so why bother? I'm more at that mentality, which is fine. And that's one of the things that's touched on in Whiplash too, is at what point, and I think I'm sure it applies to other things. I guess I'm making it about me, but I think it applies to creativity, because since there's no one path to follow, and it's something people are more, especially people who aren't creative, aren't pursuing things in the arts, let's say, they're less keen to be encouraging, because there isn't a path, and there aren't metrics for success that are clear to the layperson, let's say. I mean, I could say Adam Carolla, and people say, oh, the guy from The Man Show, what's he doing now? Well, he's the number one most downloaded podcast. Most downloaded what? iPod? Right. No, you don't forget it. So
what's a podcast?
Exactly. Yeah. It's a thing I do. What? So there are people who might not be aware of those influences that you now more than ever, with so many different outlets as an independent that you can use. But I think it's a point where everybody gets discouraged and says, "Why am I doing this? Should I really be doing it? Is it what I'm meant to do?" And the fact that kind of played into Whiplash is still like, boy, is this guy enough to not motivate you? And and then questioning, is this my calling? I mean, there were some dudes I went to, and I like the fellow students I went to. I didn't befriend a whole lot of them, but I liked them, who were in GIT with me. And there was one guy who I thought was crazy. He was a great guitar player, but I thought he was crazy because I don't remember we must have been in class or there was some kind of maybe jam session going on or something. And this one guy made a remark about, well, I don't sleep every night. And someone said, what are you talking about? He said, well, I've trained myself to sleep every other night because if I sleep every night, then I'm losing 8 hours of practice time.
Oh my God.
I know. And I thought that's insane. I mean, look, the dude could be ripping it up somewhere right now and I don't know about it. So that may have paid off, but I thought I'm not going to be the guy who sleeps every other night for the sake of mastering the guitar. No chance. I mean, I knew that much about myself that I wasn't going to be that guy. It didn't make me question my intentions, but I thought, geez, compared to dudes like that, I'm definitely not wired that way. And that's one of the things I found really fascinating about Whiplash, aside from the fact that J.K. Simmons earned every ounce of that Oscar gold that he won because,
he's a good one.
He is. Mm-hmm. He is. And boy, is there going to be some renegotiating when they do those, his contract for those insurance commercials are up. It's like, well, Oscar winner, J.K. Simmons.
Right.
Do you want him in your, I don't remember which one it is. I want to say State Farm. Maybe it's Farmers because they both have farm in the name. I don't remember which one it is. It's Farmers, I'm being told. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That like a good neighbor. No, he's not the one who shows up in that one. Never mind. Wrong one. But yeah, that you know what you have to see. I recommend everybody see Whiplash and everybody see Road. I mean, Whiplash is on DVD now, so people can get at it. So definitely check that out. You know, it's not on DVD, which is a heartbreaker.
What?
Transformers, the animated movie. Which I got to see on the big screen on Saturday. It's a total bragging moment.
Yeah.
And man, I was so excited because at the Egyptian Theater, Grauman's Egyptian Theater, I believe is it still Grauman's? No, it doesn't matter. This is a very informative show. If you hadn't picked up on that already, folks, sorry. But the Egyptian Theater in Hollywood had a double feature on Saturday, which I was all over. It was Transformers, the animated movie, the original 1986 animated movie. And the 1987 animated G.I. Joe movie.
Nice.
Two movies which animated versions from 25 years ago are far superior to the live action pieces of crap that they made in the last 8 years. Oh, this is so bad. I didn't see the G.I. Joe ones, but because they look terrible. And I've seen 2 of the 4 Transformers movies, and that was enough. Never again, is what I say. But when I saw that was the double feature, and now I didn't see either of those movies in the theater, because I was 5, depending on when they came out. So little young, not that I couldn't have, but let's just say I missed them. I didn't know, though, that G.I. Joe, the movie, didn't get a proper theatrical release because of some distribution deal issues, which I found out. There's a Q&A in between with there were writers and voice actors, excuse me, and directors, various people involved in the production of both movies. Mm-hmm. I don't know. There was some crossover, but some from one movie and some from the other. So I don't remember everyone's names off the top of my head. But it was really cool to kind of hear what went on. But yeah, apparently G.I. Joe, the animated movie, here's a fun fact, was only shown theatrically once at the 1987 San Diego Comic-Con at a theater nearby. And the reels were out of order. So this past Saturday was the first time the movie has been shown theatrically and in this proper sequence.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of a novelty, which was really good. I've seen both movies, but see them on the big screen, I literally felt like a kid again because you don't see that type of animation anymore. That hand-drawn animation, everything looks, I mean, since, post-Pixar, everything's kind of 3D animated. As great as it is, it kind of brought me back to when I would see, what did I see when I was like The Great Mouse Detective or The Black Cauldron or the Care Bears movie, animated movies I saw in the theater as a kid. And I thought, wow, I wish these would be shown more often. And shockingly, it wasn't sold out because I'd known about it about 2 weeks beforehand. And I thought, should I buy advance tickets? I'm going to keep an eye on it. And I kept just other stuff came up and I didn't think about it. So I didn't get my tickets till I went to the box office on Saturday, which was risky because if it had sold out, I would have been pretty heartbroken. If I walked up to the box office and if I had seen the tickets were sold out.
But you made it.
I'll cry. Yes, but I did make it.
I wasn't a G.I. Joe fan as much. I mean, because, I was more like the same.
I would never have guessed.
Right? But Transformers was the shit back then day.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that being said, do you know that there was a Autobot named Ratchet? No lie.
I don't remember that, but I believe you.
Yeah.
Well, Ratchet didn't mean what Ratchet means in 2015.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Well,
it was Ratchet, so that just gave me life.
Well, they're making the PlayStation game Ratchet and Clank. They're making a movie. Wonder how that's going to play out. Yeah. Well, we better hope Clank doesn't become something insidious or salacious.
Totally, if it isn't already.
It might be. It's going to be now, just because we brought it up.
Like instead of saying whack, man, that's Clank.
It's going to turn Clank into something. Some celebrity's going to co-opt it. There's going to be a hashtag Clank that's going to be inappropriate. But I enjoyed those movies like crazy. And unfortunately, you can't, like I said, you can't get the Transformers animated movie. It came out on DVD for, I think, a 20th anniversary version. Was the last one that came out in 2006. And then I'm pretty sure it was out of print because I meant to buy it. It's one of those I saw where I was like, oh, the Transformers animated movie, great. And then couldn't get it. I think it was out of print by the time the live action movie, the first one came out in 2007. I'm pretty sure it was already out of print.
I remember them trying to bring it back around that time.
Yeah, the G.I. Joe movie is available, which is great. That's on Blu-ray and DVD, which now I need to pick up because now I need special features like crazy. And those movies are fun too because they're kind of, I mean, especially the Transformers movie is such beautiful nonsense. It's just, it's because it takes place in space.
What was the premise? Yeah.
Well, the premise is, it's not that different from the actual movies. The Decepticons lost something on Earth and need to get it back, and they're going to destroy humanity. No, that's every live action movie, though.
There's Ratchet in it?
Maybe.
Oh,
I don't remember because the idea, spoiler alert, which I hate when people use that, but this actually is a legitimate spoiler if you didn't know from 29 years ago. But the idea, because Transformers, which were basically, it was a franchise that was made to sell toys, let's be honest. Robots that turn into cars that have their own planet and everything. It's pretty silly and pretty juvenile, but we loved it. It was a shit, like you said.
Yeah.
But as silly of a premise as that was, a lot of it was based on toys, especially in the 80s. Probably as much, if not more, than now. And the movie kind of cleared the previous toy line by killing off the majority of the characters.
Ratchet.
And making new ones the heroes. I don't know if Ratchet made it. I don't know.
He died. Yeah.
Yeah?
I remember
Okay.
that. I do remember that.
I'm sure. Okay. Well, rest in peace, Ratchet.
Yeah.
So that's mostly what happens. The Transformers die and new ones take over and they beat things up. They destroy other robots because new enemies spring up and they need to be dealt with as well. But all of the talk and everything, it's such an outside. Actually, you know what? There was a lot of love in the room because Galvatron, which is who Megatron is turned into by Unicron. See, everything I just said sounds like a total fucking nonsense. Like, what is he talking about? It's terrible. But like I said, it's great. It's beautiful gibberish. Yes, let me say that one more time for effect. When Megatron is badly damaged, Unicron turns him into Galvatron. And Galvatron now serves Unicron. Yep, you heard me. And Galvatron was voiced by Leonard Nimoy. So there was a lot of love in the room especially when you heard his voice for the first time, and when his name came up on the credits. You know, huge applause.
Oh.
Yeah, that was really cool, and it was fun as an unintentional tribute.
Right.
Which, by the way, if you are in the LA area and you're into Trek at the Aero Theater. I believe it's next month, sometime in April. You have to look up the calendar to find out when, but they mentioned it. They're showing Star Trek 2, 3, and 4 in kind of a marathon in honor of Leonard Nimoy at the Aero Theater in Santa Monica. So if you're into Trek, you can check that out, which I think is pretty cool that they decided to put something together. That was nice. Arguably the best Star Trek movies, although I'm not a fan of Star Trek. That's just what people tell me. Although Wrath of Khan's a great movie. Anyway, so Transformers, nonsense. G.I. Joe the movie is hilarious because it takes place on Earth, but there's a fantasy element to it, which I mean,
boys blowing up stuff. That's what that.
But there's a lot of weird, sea creatures in it, and Cobra Commander's turned into a snake and all this other weird stuff. I forgot how laughable his voice was. Did you watch G.I. Joe at all as a kid? Or do you remember anything about it? Because we need to watch the G.I. Joe movie. In fact, I think we need to do like a commentary track for it because it's a laugh riot. In part because of how serious it takes itself.
I remember watching it, but I remember falling asleep, on it too.
You can show yourself out. You get the fuck out of my studio.
I'm just saying, it came on, I think, around the same time Sailor Moon was, and after that, I was... All
right. You're forgiven. Sailor Moon's
Thank
stuff.
you. But continue.
Thank you. So, I forgot what a laughable voice Cobra Commander has. Like, no, you can't do lies. You'll betray me. So when he turns to a snake, it's kind of
No, I do remember that.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
It's really funny. Incidentally, if they're looking for a Cobra Commander voice, you can reach out to me at chrisball.com. Anyway.
Name drop.
Yeah, well, look, I got to plug something on this show, right? There are moments that are just so serious because, it's fun. It's totally entertaining, but there's moments where that are serious because, if all right, somebody gets injured at one point and one of the Joes kind of turns around to not show emotion, and because obviously the battle cry is Yo Joe, and he says very somberly, Yo Joe, as animated tears streamed down his face, and everyone in the theater cracked up because it took itself so seriously. As a kid, I don't really remember seeing. I'm sure I saw it on TV. They must have broken it up into since it didn't have a theatrical release. I'm sure it came out on VHS, and maybe they spread it out over 5 days or something, in 20-minute bits. But as a kid, that probably would have upset me. But watching it now, man, the theater was laughing because it was really, really funny. But such great nostalgia, a really great slice of nostalgia. So having that, rode hard the night before, and then watching Whiplash last night, Sunday, it was very, very filmic.
Yeah.
I have to say, I had a very cinematic kind of weekend. Which, another thing, just kind of get back to Birdman for a second, now that I'm thinking of it. One of the things that I think is cool about the fact that it won Best Picture was because it is, like I mentioned earlier, it is fiction.
Uh-huh.
Compared to Theory of Everything, American Sniper, what else was that? Selma, certainly.
Yeah.
And, a lot of movies are imitation game. They're based on, you could argue that they're Oscar bait, but they're based on true stories. So the fact that Birdman is something that's complete fiction and won is kind of better because a lot of times biopics tend to win, or at least tend to be up for Oscars, and dramas are taken way more seriously. And there was a lot of comedy in Birdman too, so that's kind of refreshing to see that it swept a lot of the big awards.
Right.
So that's one of the things I liked about it. And I didn't want to talk too much about it because you haven't seen the movie in its entirety. But there's some people I know don't like there's some fantasy elements to it where for the sake of example, maybe there's a little bit of usage of, let's call it the Force in the movie, where he's able to move things with his mind, or he's, the first shot of the movie doesn't give anything away, but Michael Keaton's just suspended in air, floating.
Right.
And they don't explain it. They don't reference it again. There's no mention of it at all. And I know that's one of the things people didn't like about it. Like, well, what does that mean? Is it really happening or not? So I know that's something that frustrated people who saw it. And it's probably not for everybody. I loved it, though. I couldn't wait for it to come on Blu-ray so I could pick it up. I was actually watching it last night. I watched the first half of it anyway, and then I went to bed. Actually, no, I'd finished doing laundry, and then I went to bed. But I loved it. I thought it was the best movie, but Whiplash is a strong contender, too, I have to say. Just a little bit behind Birdman. But I didn't see the other Best Picture nominees, but man, I loved it. Another question. I, like everybody, I'm looking forward to The Avengers. It comes out in less than 2 months.
Yeah.
They just put out another trailer for it.
Mm-hmm.
Coincidentally, when tickets went on sale for The Avengers 2. Gee, who would have thought that? What an amazing coincidence.
Right.
I think they kind of overdid it last year with The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where they had like 6 trailers leading up to it. I don't know. I don't need to see a lot of trailers to be sold on something. Like in the case of Whiplash, I didn't see it. I just knew what it was about. I didn't see a trailer, and I kind of liked going into it cold without knowing a single scene. I just knew the basic thing: crazy teacher, drummer. That's kind of it. Really tough teacher is giving the student a very difficult time was pretty much all I knew. But whereas Avengers, look, it's probably a 2.5 hour movie, and I realize 3 minute trailers is going to give me the whole movie, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of times there are so many trailers leading up to things. I almost want to avoid the trailers to not see even more footage for it. I know a lot of people some people complain. Some people are like, I just want everything. Just show me more, because they're just getting amped up for the release. Does that bother you?
It depends. Like, I feel like there are some movies that have their trailers have all their good scenes in it. And then when you watch the movie, you're like, that's it.
Comedies do that a lot, where all the funny stuff's in the trailer.
Right.
And then 98 minutes of boring.
Absolutely. But that being said, I think that it just depends, because there are a lot of films that if it wasn't for trailers, I mean, marketing is everything. I mean, you and me, we watch film and TV all the time. So we're going to go to movies anyway. But someone who, is a teacher, not to say that teachers,
right? Well,
but you get me. Like your average, consumer is not going to think, I have to go see this unless, sometimes it's pushed to them. Like what trailer was that? What's that Denzel Washington movie that came out last year?
Equalizer?
Yeah, that made me want to watch that movie.
I still do need to see that. Now that you're bringing it up, I do need to see that. It looks cool.
It was good.
I like that I wrote a bit about it on chrisball.com, but I like the mature ass kicker has come into fashion.
Exactly.
Courtesy of Liam Neeson in Taken.
Right.
I like that you have, aside from like the Expendables.
And it was the same director who did Training Days, and so I already knew, like, oh yeah, I'm going to watch this. But see, that being said, my mom, for instance, who doesn't watch movies, that the trailer might help her want to be like, oh yeah, Denzel, huh? Not
He's
to
got
say
a new
that
movie?
she talks like that. But anyway.
That was a little Foxy Love from Drawn Together.
Denzel. Yeah.
Double dog Denzel.
So, I mean, yeah, that's my answer. It depends.
Okay. I just feel like I see an awful lot for but I get it, because I think Avengers had a trailer in the Super Bowl, which I didn't watch either. Send your hate to @ChrisBall on Twitter. But people were like, yeah, but everyone's going to go see that movie. Why? Yeah, but people who watch sports might not be as into it as people who are into movies or comic books, and they may not realize, oh yeah, that's this year. Because, a handful of comic book movies come out every year, so someone might lose track. So I get why they would spend, like $3 million or something for 30 seconds on the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. I kind of get that, because people might not be aware of it. Or at least it's coming out like this summer or this May, even though the week's leading. I mean, even now, Christ, tickets are on sale. So people are definitely aware of it. So I get that, but I just feel like there's been there's so many movies I just feel like, I think I've seen enough. I'm already sold. Can we get enough? I mean, like I said, not to rag on one movie, but it's the most recent example.
When is the new Star Wars coming out?
Christmas. Oh, you didn't know that?
I did. I just had lost my train of thought.
December.
That's right. That is right. But that being said, look how long ago that trailer, or was that a teaser?
That was Thanksgiving. Yeah.
So that being said, that's too far in advance for me. But
the next clip there has to be a trailer for that on Avengers, because they're both under the Disney banner. That has to be. And at the same time, how are you going to get the most amount of eyes on it? Even though I'm sure there's going to be a lot of overlap between those two audiences, but that has to. I don't think it's going to debut on Cinderella next weekend.
You never know.
It might, but that'd be a little bit of a curveball. Like, wait a minute, what? It's Star Wars trailer, is that Cinderella? I mean, it'll be on YouTube on Monday, so if the first time people see it Friday, not that big a deal, but yeah, maybe. And I got a lot of people been asking me too about like, Jurassic World, man, you excited? Not really, and here's why. Jurassic Park is 1 for 3 in the good movies department, so I don't know.
Jurassic Park 1 is the best, but Jurassic Park 3 has the best soundtrack.
Really?
I mean,
I haven't even seen 3. I own it and I haven't watched it. I have nothing against it, but I have the box set and I haven't watched the third one.
It's amazing.
Is that ridiculous?
Yes, and
okay.
I
was watching
did
Birdman
love
again.
Some Jeff Goldblum, so that didn't.
Well, he's great, even though he's not in the new one, but I just go by ratio. Like you say, the director of Training to Anton Fuqua, who did The Equalizer. Same thing. He's attached to a movie. I'm not necessarily, and I'm like this with a lot of people. I'm not singling out Jurassic Park or Anton Fuqua, but like the King Arthur movie he did, that sucked with Clive Owen. That was lousy. Shooter, I think he did with Mark Wahlberg. No good. Like there are movies where I think, everybody's hit or miss. Very few people, except for like Quentin Tarantino, have every single one is great. Even people argue that Death Proof wasn't great, but I get that happens to a lot of people where it's not a fan. Or this one sucked. But you know what doesn't suck? Road Hard, Whiplash, Transformers, the animated movie. Just to bring it all back.
Just give it a chance.
Yeah, we recommend everything. Well, Sherry recommends Jersey Boys if you haven't seen it already, which is probably a lot of people.
And my
liked
name
it
is
too.
in it. That's
Who
what
is?
made the Four Seasons famous. Sherry Baby. Duh.
Oh, well, obviously.
Yeah.
Do you get that a lot? Do people sing that to you?
Every fucking day. But sometimes it's cool because there's this one girl that I work with, and her name is Caroline. So when I see her passing by, she says, I sing Sweet Caroline. Oh, and then everybody will be like, oh, oh, oh.
I don't have that.
For me, it's Sherry Baby. Or Steve Perry's Oh Sherry, which I prefer that one. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Uh-oh.
I didn't even think about that.
Love it so much. Move the mic.
I saw Steve Perry once. Made my day.
What?
It was actually the first one I saw after it happened was Candace, funnily enough.
Wow.
And I said he was checking out of we were checking out of Whole Foods at the same time, but our cashiers were kind of back to back, so we were face to face. They were just chatting about football or whatever, and I thought it kind of looked like him. And as soon as he started speaking, I was like, it's Steve Perry. I didn't run up to him and say anything, but just I was like, I checked out in front of Steve Perry. Like I just thought that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Although that particular Whole Foods is I've seen a bunch of stars at that one, but that was pretty cool. And by the time I saw Candace, I hadn't gotten over it. I said, okay, let me tell you something. Maybe you won't care. I just saw Steve Perry, and she probably looked like I did after it happened, where I said, wait, do you know who I'm talking about? She's like, no, I'm in shock. That's awesome. I said, that's what I said. Anyway, that's it. We're out of time. We're going out on Steve Perry.
Nice.
Although,
go on.
One last thing. My friend Wendy actually used to get the Beach Boys song, and she hated it because of it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have a song like that. I think women get it, though. I don't think guys. Nobody breaks out into song for guys.
Right.
Like, nobody sings Elton John's Daniel, like, for a Daniel. That's the first song that came on the top of my head. Having said that, we got to get out of it. They're shutting the lights off in the studio, everybody, so we got to get out of here. So, Sherry, thank you so much for coming back and being on the show and chatting film with me for a bit.
No pleasure. Well, my pleasure.
Wasn't it? No. We didn't get to the dirty old man story. We'll come back to that.
Another day.
We will. Yeah, too bad we don't have an after show or something. We totally do. Anyway, so that's it, everybody. You could follow Sherry on Twitter and Instagram. She changed her Instagram handle.
I did.
At SherryBaby09?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So make sure to follow her. Show Sherry a little bit of love. Once again, She Kills Monsters on Kickstarter. Still a few days left, so you can get it on that. And you can follow me at Chris Abalo on Twitter, and Chris Sells Out on Instagram, and K-Pod on Twitter and Instagram as well. Follow the show. And that's it. So, iTunes, 5 stars, subscribe, and check out the show on YouTube. So until next time, for Sherry Bass, this is Chris Abalo, and this was yet another experiment. See you next week.